Here come the potatoes. One more time.
Hi, I'm Jim.
I'm Rhenda.
We're Hardiness Approach.
We are having a potato day.
Yes, we are.
We do not own a root cellar. We live in Missouri in the rocks. But we want to save our potatoes. So we are working from morning until night to do our potatoes. We've already made the video and we're just letting you know what an exciting thing it is.
Yeah.
So the first one that we're doing is our beef stew in the pressure canner.
Great way to save potatoes. Turn them into beef stew.
The second one is mashed potatoes. Who knew? Oh, you guys, these mashed potatoes were so good.
I'm looking forward to when we can start eating them. We didn't get to eat them. We just put them up.
We ate a little bit for lunch.
They're good. They're really good.
I wanted to just eat the
Yes.
thing. They're frozen. And then we made hash browns.
Yes, we did.
And they're frozen into small packets. And then the last one was the cubed potatoes that we had left over from the stew. We used them. And it was pretty amazing. So we've got 4 different ways.
And we don't have a root cellar, and all of our potatoes were either eaten because they got mangled in the ground or getting them out of the ground, or the ones that were good are now all put up. We've got them.
We got a few that we're eating just through the next month or so.
So we get several months of potatoes without having to worry about them going bad.
So I know what you're going to say. Just a second.
Flip them and they flopped them and they flew away.
You're going to say, but I'm a diabetic, I can't eat potatoes. I have some great news for you. First of all, potatoes are amazing. They have more potassium than a banana. They are loaded with antioxidants, especially if you eat the skin.
So you can peel your potato.
No, you don't want to peel the potatoes.
Oh, okay.
When possible, you want to eat it with the peel on. It'll give you 12% more antioxidants with the skin on.
Wow. Okay.
But it has potassium, magnesium, manganese, folate, vitamin B6, vitamin C, and let me talk to you about, there's some other vitamins in there too. But let me talk to you about why you can still eat this potato. Now,
when you're a diabetic.
When you're a diabetic. If you're a brittle diabetic, then you guys need to be careful. But this is what I've learned about this potato. And it is actually in an amazing study that was done. Several studies have been done on this. So it appears that the starch that is in a potato is called a resistant starch. And it is not fully absorbed as it goes through the body. It goes down and waits until it gets into the large intestine. And there, all of the good nutrients from the potato are beneficial to the good nutrients, the bacteria that's in the gut.
For gut health.
For gut health. So it improves gut health, but they're finding that not only does it not raise your blood sugar drastically, it's lowering the blood sugar and it is going to, once it gets through all that, it also reduces insulin resistance. So you're not as resistant to using your insulin that your body produces as you would be.
So is it possible that some of the problems that diabetics have when they eat potatoes are because of things that may be put on them?
On them or with them, and that's what I'm going to tell you. We always talk about eating a good carbohydrate, which that is.
But potatoes are a good carb.
Good carbohydrate. They're a complex carbohydrate. A good protein, a good fat, and vegetables. And when you eat these other 3 with your potato, then you also are bringing down the possibility of it raising a blood sugar.
So if I just eat a bunch of French fries, maybe
you guys,
not the best
and I'm
choice.
never talking French fries when I'm talking potatoes. Okay. You're most important to be able to bring out, get this, to be able to bring out more of the resistant starch. Boil your potatoes, stick them in the fridge overnight, cook them and eat them tomorrow. Reheat them and eat them. You'll have a huge more amount.
A huge more.
Huge more. Sorry, that was really silly. A large.
It's a technical term.
A larger amount of the resistant starch sits and gets
it just
bigger.
as it sits there,
Yeah.
it accumulates more.
So,
wow.
don't think you can't use the potatoes, but don't think you can do fried potatoes and that's.
And potatoes shouldn't be the major part of a meal, and they shouldn't be every meal.
Right. Ours is, here's your plate, and half of it's vegetables, and a quarter of it's protein, and then a little bit of it's fat, and then you got about that much more that you can put your potato in. All of those things I was talking about, they're a medium potato. That's what you want to eat. So, one other thing that we did do, he wasn't even around for it, is when I was doing the cubed potatoes, the diced potatoes, I actually diced those smaller, so they're more like cottage potatoes, the last few batches. So we have larger potatoes to use in soups, and then cottage potatoes.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Great variety.
So, enjoy this video. This is definitely one you're going to want to share. And it's the last one we've done without these on, so hopefully the sound is okay. All the rest of them will have these on.
We promise.
We are making beef stew. And what we're going to do with our beef stew is our potatoes, these beautiful onions, carrots, organic carrots that I bought. And I couldn't find any of the ones like this that you peel. And so I got the small ones that are already done. Usually I don't like those, but the brand that I get are so sweet and good. We haven't had any bad luck. So I just bought 4 packages of those. I thought, well, that's easy. And the meat I got from the farmer's market from a grass-fed rancher, and she sold me a round roast and a tenderloin roast. And so we're going to cut those all up. I pre-ordered them from her. She knows why I needed them, and those are the ingredients of our stew. So now we are going to peel all of these. You don't need to watch that part. We got those potatoes done, and now we are ready. What a super potato washer peeler this man is. He could be in the military. Oh, you were, but not in the kitchen.
A couple times.
So what I'm doing is we are making beef stew, and we're doing it in the pressure canner. So we're going to do 6 quarts of stew, and then it has to cook for 90 minutes, and so then it has to cool back down. So it'll be a while before we make the second batch. So we'll be putting everything back in the fridge. We browned our meat a little bit.
Potatoes from our garden.
Yep.
Carrots from the store.
Organic.
Onions, organic. Onions from the farmer's market.
Yes.
Jars from our storage.
Yes. So you can put funnels in here if you want to. And you can measure if you want to. Do you want to measure or do you want to eyeball?
I like eyeballing.
Okay, so I'm going to start with the meat, and I'm going to let you come through with the potatoes afterwards. Okay. How's that? So I'm going to put about that much meat in.
Similar
tell you what,
potatoes?
I'll move this over here. And yeah, we've got carrots and onions to go in.
So like that or more?
I would put more.
So 2 hand grabs.
2 hand grabs. Because I think potatoes are one of the staples of stew. At least I think so.
At least your stew, they're the staple.
My stew. And this meat, I did brown it a little bit, which is optional to do. It can give it a little bit more flavor. It is all unseasoned at this point. All right, I'm going to come behind you with the carrots. Guess what that leaves you with? The onions.
I'm so lucky. There's going to be room. We'll shake them down. We'll do a shakedown on the jars.
Because you want 1 inch of headspace underneath this rim. I made these last year with venison that our son-in-law caught.
Like that?
That's fine.
So is that...
Is that all you... How many did you put in?
Put in a handful.
Really?
I put in a few more.
Yeah.
Well, I shook them down, it went way down.
Yeah.
was kind of my point.
Yeah.
You kind of shake them together.
So this one's heavy on the meat, but you know, that's okay. Now what we've got is a lot of ingredients.
Taking my job.
I know. Oh, so you're shaking them down good. Excellent. Or you can shake them down. I'll let you shake. You're so good at it. Once he's got them all shook down, then I'm going to put a teaspoon of salt in my quarts. I would put a half a teaspoon in my pints if I was going to do that. And so now what should we fill them up with? Because they look like they need some more.
An inch is not a couple of centimeters.
Oh, inch below. You're right. You got them. Okay. So now I'm going to put a teaspoon of salt. You can use canning salt. The books tell you only use canning salt. I learned from someone else who said you can easily use the Redmond mineral salt. It makes it a little cloudy at the bottom, but so do the potatoes. So this is going in. For a minute I looked at that and thought it was half a tablespoon. And I was like, oh, no.
That's the salt.
That's the salt. Now we're ready to add boiling water to it. If you want to add broth, that's fine. Okay, so now we're going to pour the water into each one of them, and we make sure that the water is boiling and fill each one of them up. Then Jim is taking a plastic knife, or you can get the ones that come with the canning supplies. I couldn't find mine. And he's getting all the bubbles out. He was doing a very good job, just being so vigorous doing that, as I fill the rest of the jars. Now the next thing I'm doing is I've taken a clean rag with vinegar on it, and I'm wiping any particles of salt or food or anything that might be on the top of them. And I'm taking the lids and placing them on there. The lids do not have to be boiled anymore. I still chose to put mine into warm water just sitting there. And then you just finger tight the rings. You do not do really, really tight. Don't use your wrist to do it. Once they're all on, then it is time to put them in the canner, but they cannot go into the canner until the canner water is 180 degrees. And my canner calls for 3 quarts, which is just a little over 2 inches. Okay, this is 180, so we're going to just set them in here right now. Oops.
Not touching.
Touch. And doesn't it look like I can fit one more in there?
That's what I'm thinking.
Well, I'm going to fit one more in there.
I was thinking you could do 7.
We do have enough room in our canner, putting one in the middle. So we have added one more to it.
We need another ring.
One more ring.
One more ring. Let me rinse it. I don't have any problems with it. It's nice and clean, no rust showing anywhere. Not too tight.
And then we're supposed to put V to V, so the V is here and the V is right there. And then tighten it. Okay, so now what happens with our canner is that this will start having steam come out of it. At some time when it's really coming really, really good, we start timing it for 10 minutes.
And then at the end of the 10 minutes, this sets on there to regulate the pressure.
Yep. Now you need to know where you're at in altitude. Like when we were at a higher altitude, we had to have it go to 13 pounds. But now we are at 500 feet, so we will have it go to only 11 pounds. This has steam coming up here now. So I am going to go ahead and start the 10-minute timer. Now been 10 minutes, so I'm going to take the pressure lid and put it over that. It's always a little scary. And we're going to wait for this to get up to, for us, 11 pounds. I have it on a medium-high heat, and that's what we'll wait for now. This is now up where it needs to be. In fact, on my stove, it goes a little bit higher, so I've got to turn it down a little to keep it at the 11. I've set the timer for 90 minutes, and so we'll meet back here in 90 minutes. Well, we hit our 90 minutes, and then I turned it off, and it has gone down to 0. So now I can take off this little thing, and there's no pressure coming from it at all. It's safe for me to take off the top and remove the stew. Now we don't disturb them for about 16 hours. And at 16 hours, I'm going to check and make sure that they've all sealed. Anything that hasn't sealed, as long as it's under 24 hours, I can still use it. And I would use it right then. So now they're just going to sit here and we're not going to touch them. Our second way to preserve potatoes is to make mashed potatoes. What? You can make mashed potatoes and make them last? Yes, you can. So we're choosing to make, we're choosing to make red skin mashed potatoes. And so we're cutting them fairly small. You'll see fairly small, and not having to skin the potatoes. And then we're going to boil them, add butter, cream, salt, seasoning, all the things, and we're going to put them onto a cookie sheet in globs and freeze them that way. They will last up to 6 months that way. Guess what? That's Thanksgiving dinner. So we're really excited to be able to do this very simple way. Wow, you're a noisy critter.
I'm a cutter.
Cutter. You're a cut up. So this is a great way to be able to use your potatoes. If you do have potatoes that are pretty scarred, let me show these up close to you. Then I'm peeling them and he's just checking them over really well. Because you don't want to put skin in there that's this dirty or bad or real scarred. So those I'm peeling and he's just cooking them, doing them, chopping them up and putting them in there along with the peeled ones. I just put a pot of potatoes and it's got this many potatoes. Half of them are peeled, half of them are not peeled. They're red potatoes. And any blemishes, I just peeled them. So I've got them covered with water and I'm gonna put some salt in it and cook them just the way I would if I was making a large batch of mashed potatoes, because that's what I'm doing. These are my mashed potatoes and I'm going to put them into little clumps on my sheet. When I was doing some reading on this, it said you kind of want them to be flat so that they hold better in the refrigerator, stack better. So I'm going to do that. And then we will freeze these completely and then put them into packets and seal them, vacuum. These potatoes were so good. We had some for lunch yesterday. All right, into the freezer they go. Mashed potatoes are out of the freezer. I want to show you that I had to take this, and I've left two so I can show you, and actually just kind of pop them up from the bottom. They get a little stuck to the bottom, but there they are, ready to go into. And I'm going to put, for us, I'm going to put 4 in a package. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to shrink wrap it.
We're going to make some frozen hash browns now.
Now, we only have a small food processor. We've never had a big one. I want to let you know that we took blemishes off of these golden pecans, but we are not peeling them, and they're just coming out beautiful. After the potatoes are shredded, you want to pour them into ice cold water for 5 minutes. This is going to keep them from browning a little bit. My first batch, I forgot to do this part, and they are browning a little bit. This is going to make it so that it pulls some of the starch out that they wouldn't have out otherwise, and that keeps them from browning. Now we take this
Squoze out
hash brown, and we lay it out onto a cookie sheet, and then it goes into the freezer for a couple. You want to be able to have them in.
The sizes, so
The
you have
sizes, yes.
what you need for whatever
For
size
you.
of meal that you're doing.
I'm told these will not turn brown, so we're going to do it and see. You got all yours on?
Got them all here.
Is that too much?
I don't think so. I think we spread it out. All it's doing is freezing, right?
Yeah, it's just so that it won't be in one big clump that you can't get apart. Okay, we'll put these in the freezer right now. Our fourth way that we have learned that we can do potatoes is to take the potatoes we had left over from making our stew and blanch it for 3 minutes into a pot of water, hot boiling water. It was boiling. And you want to be really careful that you don't overcook them. So you set it for 3 minutes. And you can do this with this size potato or with French fries even. And it makes better French fries. You know how you can go buy French fries in a store? Well, this is going to be the same thing. So then you come and put it into the cold water in the sink. Plunge it in here after it's completely cold. Then you want to lay it out and get it dry. And then the next thing you're going to do is put it onto a sheet. And just like we've done with the hash browns and the mashed potatoes, you're going to lay them out here and freeze them before you put them in the bags. So we would like to also show you the stew that we made. We made 14 quarts of it. The ones on this side turned out a little bit better. These two lost a little bit of their juice. So they'll be the first ones that we eat. Everything popped though. So it's been a long day, but it's been a successful day in preserving our food. I let these potatoes freeze overnight, and they are very hard. I'm going to take them down, put them in my food saver bag, and vacuum seal them, and label them, and put them away. wanted to show you what I did with my mashed potatoes. I put them into a glass container. I covered them with plastic wrap, and then I covered them with foil. And I wrote on remove foil and plastic wrap, then recover with foil. Bake at 350 for 30 minutes, stir occasionally. And I'm going to take this now and wrap it into a vacuum pack so that it stays completely fresh without air. Now, there's no way air is going to get to it, and it will be fresh for 3 to 6 months. But I believe 6 months now with this like this, because it's not going to be able to get anything into it. Clever idea.